Hello and good day, this is Healing29 back again for a DC Marvel crossover review. And of course it's Deadpool Batman, and there's going to be the Batman Deadpool one, which is coming through DC. This one was actually done through Marvel. So moving into first things first, and that is in relation to the covers that I chose. Of course, I've got the main cover as well as 3 variants. So first things first, do these covers in any way, shape or form connect to something that is inside with the stories that we get in there? For the first one on the left hand side, which has Deadpool and Batman, the answer is yes, a 7.5 out of 10. Next is the one with Elektra and Cassandra Cain. Even though we don't see that story in there, I hope we might actually get to see that story in the DC one. So it would be very interesting to see those characters together. For that cover, I gave a 7 out of 10. Probably one of my favorite covers, having to do with Crypto and Jeff. An 8.5 out of 10, but how does it go story-wise? We'll worry about that when we get to that. And last but not least, the last cover, to which I give a 7.5 out of 10. I'll now get things ready and organized as we move into the area of the rating of the stories as well as the art. Now, for the internal art, I have decided to rate it all as 1. And I'll give the art rating last, but I want to be able to give the story ratings first in relation to each story. So the first story has to do with Deadpool and Batman, to which we'll get to see some of the artwork as well as some of the story. Here it is, sort of like close to the middle of the story, slowly approaching the end of the story. And last but not least, the end. For the story rating of the first one, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into what we'll see with the rest of the stories, and also the ratings for them. So these are the additional stories that we get to see in here. So, of course, we'll have Captain America and Wonder Woman, which was surprisingly an interesting story. We have Chef and Crypto, Daredevil and Green Arrow, Ratchet and Green Lantern, Old Man Logan, and last but not least, Logo, not Lobo. And I'm wondering if Logo is maybe setting things up for the maybe a return of the Amalgamation universe. Just saying it, doesn't mean it is, doesn't mean it isn't. It's just a thought that's out there. So, of course, we get to see the story around Wonder Woman and her work with Captain America until they reach the story's end. And, of course, we get to see Steve Trevor in it, which was actually quite surprising. I didn't quite expect to see that in the story, but I'm glad they did do it. For that story, I gave a 6.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the next one. Alright, this story was definitely a scene stealer. And with it we have Crypto and Jeff. Yeah, they might be animals that connect to corresponding universes, but this one was most definitely one of my favorites, to which I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Next is moving into the Daredevil Green Arrow story. Nice splash page here. Of course, they encounter Mr. Vertigo, or Count Vertigo, and it affects Daredevil's hearing, so Green Arrow has to come in and help save him. For my rating of the story, I ended up giving a 7 out of 10, so that was sort of like the second highest rating in this particular anthology of stories. Moving into the Rocket Raccoon and Green Lantern, which was very short, to which I gave it just a 6.5 out of 10. Maybe I should have given it a 6, but it is what I've marked it. We move into the Frank Miller one, which is the Old Man Logan and the Frank Miller Batman. I'll say one thing, it wasn't my favourite, to which I ended up giving it a 5 out of 10. And then eventually we move on to Logo. Not Lobo, but Logo. And this is the one that really has me thinking, will they be starting to do things around the Amalgam universe? And for that one, I gave a 7.5 out of 10. And they're sort of like the only stories that I gave a high. For the art overall, like from first story to the last story, I decided to give it a 6 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.